Hi, welcome to Books with Lexi, and welcome to the fourth episode of Reading Taste Match. I think this is the first time that I'm officially calling it that, but I've been doing this series on and off for a year now. I started this in May of last year and I have done it 3 times already. And the premise is that I swapped 3 books with one of my booktuber friends and we are trying to see how much our reading tastes match up. To do this, we give each other 2 books we liked and 1 we did not. This is just to make it a little more interesting and to see if our tastes really do line up in different ways. Yes, it is a little risky to include a book that we didn't like, but there is a chance that we have completely opposite tastes. So hopefully everyone likes at least 1 book. I will have the playlist for the versions of this I have previously done, but I'm really excited because in this video, my friend Riley from Riley Marie has given me 3 books to read. We also are doing a buddy read. The buddy read honestly is just for fun and then another thing to see if our opinions line up on that book. So in a second, I will be reacting to the video that Riley sent me with her 3 picks, and we will also be buddy reading Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo. Riley gave Ninth House 5 stars, and I also gave Ninth House 5 stars at the time, but honestly, the more I think about it, it was 4 stars. But I own Hellbent and I'm really excited to get to it, so I think it'll be an interesting one to add to the mix. So if our tastes perfectly line up, in theory, I will like 2 of these books and dislike 1. I kind of have a little bit of an idea of Riley and I's reading taste and how it lines up. There are so many books that we both love, and then every once in a while we just don't line up at all, and it'll be really interesting to see how this goes, and maybe I will be able to figure out a little bit more and figure out which books that Riley loves that I should 100% pick up. Okay, let's get into the vlog so we can find out what I will be reading. Riley has sent me the video of books I'm reading for this. I'm so nervous but so excited, so let's watch.
Hey Lexi, thank you so much for asking me to do this video with you. I'm so excited. So I have 2 books that I really loved and 1 that I didn't. So the first book is The 7 Visitations of Sydney Burgess by Andy Marino. This is a horror novel about a woman who wakes up after her home being broken into, and she is told by the police that she murdered her attacker, but she has no memory of ever doing this and believes that there is something more going on. The second book is Tripping Arcadia by Kit McQuist. This is a gothic horror novel about a woman who gets a job working for this very wealthy and elite family and is hoping to get close to them in order to enact her secret plot of revenge against them. And the third book is the book of the Unnamed Midwife by Meg Ellison. This is a post-apocalyptic thriller following the journal entries of one of the few surviving women left in this apocalyptic future. So I hope you have a great time reading all of these, and I cannot wait to hear what you think.
Okay. I already own this. I'm super excited to get to this one, so I'm really, really happy with this one. I have heard of Tripping Arcadia, but I don't really know much about it, but it sounds really good, and I've never heard of the last one, but I really like dystopian post-apocalyptic stuff, so I am very much looking forward to all 3 of these. Hello, I have started the book of the Unnamed Midwife, and I'm not liking this. This series is so scary to me. So I've done this 3 times and every single time I have hated one of the books given to me, but it was the one that someone liked. So I feel like it's cursed. I'm terrified this is going to keep happening to me, but I'm not liking this so far. So this is post-apocalyptic sci-fi, which in theory I really like. We are following an unnamed character, and the very, very first chapter, we are in the future, and these guys are told that they have to transcribe these journals of the start of how society is now for them. So we're following the downfall, plague, post-apocalyptic stuff that then leads to this new society. We are following a nurse and midwife, and we are getting journal entries from her, and then we're also getting, what's that fancy word, omniscient third person, and I don't like it. I don't like that we're switching how the story is told but still following the same character. There's been some things in here. This is very graphic. Almost immediately there's very graphic essay. Like, I was fine reading it, but I was like, what the heck? Like, what? In this, men suck, and civilization has crashed 3 weeks ago, and they are already like acting like they own women and like trading their bodies temporarily for like alcohol and stuff, and like constantly R wording people. And then there's also this thing where there's like 100% mortality rate. I can't remember if it's for the people that are pregnant or for the babies. I don't remember. I am exclusively listening to this via audio. You can see behind me, I'm working on bookmarks for my readathon. So I've been doing that while I'm listening to the audiobook, and I'm really not loving this. There's a lot of things that are happening that I'm not loving. This is sci-fi, and I have like all-time favorite sci-fis, but I don't like the writing. And I don't like how graphic this is. It feels like it's that graphic almost for no reason. Like, I don't need descriptions of bloodied things. And like, I get that in a post-apocalyptic world, things are going to be not good. But I feel like this divulged so quickly, and it just doesn't make sense to me. Sorry, Adam got home, Bowser knocked everything over. But our main character is just like existing, trying to get somewhere, but we don't know where, I think. And like handing out birth control, but why does she have so much birth control? I don't know. Hopefully this gets better. I am a little over 2/3 into the book of the Unnamed Midwife, and I'm not hating this quite as much, but I'm not liking it. So now we are more following our main character, the midwife, like in a more constant location. That's the word. So because of the way that women are treated in this world, more like an object, honestly, and like property. Our main character does dress like a man and pretend to be a man to like escape that unwanted attention and like harassment, honestly, and then ends up staying in this house and taking care of a pregnant female. And then we're just watching them go to get food and like not like each other. And then they're like talking about like the real housewives. And like, yes, people were in this situation, like we would miss old things, but it's just the way that it's told. I'm just like, I don't care, which is not ideal. I want to care, but like, even though it's such a horrific situation and the way that women are treated is awful, I'm still finding myself really bored by this, and I think it's the writing. I don't know. I feel very detached from the situation, which happens to me a lot when it is in third person, and I don't care that much about our characters either. So right now it's feeling like a 2 star for me. Like, I hated the beginning, and now I am like really annoyed by certain things, and I'm bored a lot. So I'm really hoping that this is not the one where I really liked, because if this keeps happening to me, I'm gonna be really sad. I'm gonna finish it, and I'll talk to you soon. I have finished the book of the Unnamed Midwife, and I am going to give this 2 stars. Um, Here's the thing. I recently have learned that this kind of book is not for me. I, in the past like 3 weeks, have read 4 books now that are very similar in like they are dystopian and very, very slow and dry. And it's not my thing. I DNF'd 2 of them and gave 2 of them 2 stars. I don't think this book was specifically bad, and I think it ended up having some interesting discussions, but like, tell me why. I'm the only person that doesn't seem to like care about these characters at all. I was like glancing through some reviews, and people were like crying at this book, and I don't understand. Like, I was just so annoyed the whole time, and not in a fun way. I personally didn't love the writing. I don't think it was bad. It's just not something that I like. And I think a lot of that has to do with it being this very kind of slow, like character focused dystopian. Like a lot of the time we are just in this house with two people and the one doesn't like the other person. And then this annoying thing happens and I hate it and I didn't like anything about it. And I just I didn't like, actually, immediately from the very start, I didn't like this book. I think the ending was fine. This apparently is the first in a trilogy. I will not be continuing. I think I need my dystopian books to be more action packed because people existing in a house doesn't do it for me. There's also a lot of discussions in here on religion, and like, I don't really want that in my books. Just like, that's just another personal thing. So for me, this book was too dry, didn't like any of the characters, and I think like maybe you were supposed to. If people think this is emotional, you have to like the characters, right? There was no plot. Well, there was a very basic plot, obviously, but like didn't work for me. So, 2 stars. To me, this book feels very random. Like, this book came out in 2014, I think. That's almost 10 years ago. I, as of right now, without having read the other two, think that Riley probably liked this. I don't know. But I guess it could. I don't know. I just like feel it because I'm cursed with this series. I've done this video 3 times already, and every single time I really, really dislike a book that someone else has liked. And I just feel like I'm cursed. And I feel like the curse is still here, but I will make that decision more officially after reading everything. So I'm not sure. It could go either way, but like I'm leaning towards, I think she liked this. And I know she's way more of a character driven reader than I am, so maybe she liked these characters. The next book I will be reading is Tripping Arcadia, and I'm really excited for that. Well, okay, that was a lie. The next book I'm reading is actually the book that we are buddy reading, which is Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo. This is the sequel to Ninth House. We are actually buddy reading this with our friend Kaylee from Kaylee's Books as well. I have failed the buddy read. I've been so busy, and like I got up to the 50% mark and then they both finished it yesterday, and I just like my brain shut down yesterday and I was not able to read. But I am at the 50% mark. I didn't want to check in more than just once because this is a sequel. So I like don't want to spoil anything. But there's this big event that happens at the end of Ninth House, and like we are trying to fix that like problem. I'm really liking this so far. I gave Ninth House 5 stars. Riley gave Ninth House 5 stars, and so did Kaylee. I think they both liked it a little more than I did. Like, it's not an all-time favorite book for me, but I really like the characters in this series. I like all of the like fun ritual things that are happening. It feels to me like a very good mix of fantasy and like horror elements. There's also like a mystery plot that goes throughout all of these, so it is keeping my attention the whole time and I'm very entertained. The thing that's about to happen, I'm so interested in. It's like the thing that I've been wanting to happen the whole time. And like, I know that Kaylee and Riley both liked how it was done, so I cannot wait to see it. So that's all I'm going to say now because I'm scared I'm going to accidentally give spoilers. I'll update you with my final thoughts on the end, but as of right now, it's going very well, and it went well for Riley. So that makes me feel better because I don't know about the book I just read, and I'm kind of scared. I have finished Hellbent, and I don't know how I feel about this, honestly. I do know that overall I did like it. I actually think I have the unpopular opinion, and I was liking the first half more than the second half of this. I feel like I got kind of bored in the second half. It was very repetitive. I feel like the same thing kind of kept happening over and over. The situation that they were in happened like 4 times, and I also think that I was expecting and hoping this to go more horror. And like, that's not to say that there wasn't horror in it, because there was, but it just still felt very fantasy to me. And this is a fantasy book, so like, I can't be mad at it, but I didn't absolutely love it. I think I'm gonna give this 3.5 stars. Also, like reflecting on my thoughts on Ninth House, I think I originally rated it 5 stars, but it's definitely more of a 4. I think I was more influenced by what other people were thinking whenever I read it. I still did really like it, but I don't think it was a 5 star read for me. So yeah, Hellbent is like between a 3.5 to 4. I I I mean, I guess I liked this one a little bit less because I feel like it took me 100 pages or so to get into Ninth House the first time, and then I was really liking it after that. And then this one I liked the first half. So Ninth House, it was like the first quarter that I wasn't loving, and this one it was like the second half that I wasn't obsessed with. For me, it was very easy to stop paying attention for some reason. I don't know if it was too much action, and I was like, no. I don't know. I can't really put it into words. Also, it's like 2 in the morning. I did like this, but I know that Riley gave it 5 stars. And I know Kaylee did too. And like, I'm the odd one out with that, but I feel like 3.5 to 4, maybe 3.75. I don't do that as ratings. But like, I don't know. I feel like I'm just missing something. And I know Riley reads more fantasy than me anyways, so it makes sense that she would like this more than me. So those are my final thoughts on Hellbent. Sorry I couldn't really tell you the plot of anything because this is a direct sequel to Ninth House and does spoil that. But I'm glad that I read this. Also, I think that this was too long. I think if this was shorter, I would have liked it more. Okay, now I'm moving on to, I think, Tripping Arcadia. This is honestly one of the dumbest things I've read in a while. I don't understand why someone who is broke would spend $2,000 trying to make a poison to embarrass someone. Are you kidding me? So we are following, what's her name? Lena. She's a med school dropout and she's desperate for a job. She's trying to help out her parents. Her father was injured and laid off from work. She takes this job where she's kind of the caretaker. What? Caretaker? Did I really just say caretaker? It's 2 in the morning. She's the caretaker kind of for this rich kid who is sick, but maybe just an alcoholic. But the other part of the job is that she has to work these parties that they have, and these parties are full of drugs and drinking and terrible things. Then she finds out that the father is the one that caused her father to be injured and laid off. So she decides that she's going to use her knowledge of poison to make a poison that will make him stumble around his party. So she makes $6,000 at her first event working at this like secret night party thing. 2,000 of the $6,000 that she made to collect the ingredients to make this man stumble around because it's not traceable that way. You're telling me that at a party full of drugs you can't just slip him something? And like, what? If you had $6,000 to your name, would you spend $2,000 of it trying to make a rich man stumble at a party? Because listen, my dad has been injured at work and laid off because of it. And I would not spend $2,000 trying to barely poison the person that was his boss. And that's all in the synopsis, by the way. Not the specifics of the $2,000 and $6,000, but the rest of it. The rest of it is. I have a lot of questions, but this is dumb. I'm so sorry, but like I am not hating it, but it's feeling like 2 stars. I don't have any issues with the writing, but like this is dumb. And the problem is I love dumb things. I love a dumb thriller. But this is dumb in a way that's not fun. Like if you're gonna poison someone, poison them. You know? Something just happened that I know where it's gonna go. But like that's dumb too. Ugh, I'm gonna keep reading and I'll talk to you again once I'm 2/3 in. I'm 70% into Tripping Arcadia, and like this is the dumbest and most boring book at the same time. Usually if things are dumb, they're at least entertaining. And like for a little bit I was kind of feeling that way, but like still in a 2-star way. But this is just not it's I don't understand. A lot of things like make zero sense to me. And it's so weird because normally I'm fine with that. But it's like a way that like it's not even fun to imagine that this makes sense. I just I have a lot of questions about like no, I don't want to be offensive. I just like no. So, for my reading taste, if things are ridiculous and don't really make sense, it needs to be like almost too over the top. And for this, things are just like dumb, like it doesn't make sense. But also, I feel like it is trying to make it seem like it is the normal thing to do and not that it is unhinged and fun. And there are also just some comments that are made, and I'm like, you really think that the worst thing that happened is that this thing happened instead of the horrible thing that you did? And like not in a fun way once again. It was just like dumb. So this is not going well. It is feeling like it's going to be 2 stars, which is, okay, here's the thing. A lot of my 2 stars recently have been books that I either like really didn't like and like made me annoyed or I was bored with them. And it's usually bored. And this one, I'm not annoyed and I'm not bored, but I'm not liking it. I don't know how to explain it, but things are just like not what I want. But I am going to finish. So I'll talk to you soon. I have finished Tripping Arcadia, and I think this is going to be 2 stars as well. So the progression of this book, I started off and I was interested enough in it. There was no point where I was obsessed. And then some like super dumb things started happening, and I was feeling passionate about how dumb it was, but not in a good way. And then even that, I was like, okay, whatever. And then I was just bored. So a lot of times boring books get 2 stars for me, and then books that like are dumb in a way I don't like also get 2 stars for me. This just like I don't know. I don't have anything else to say because I wasn't passionate about the last like 30%. It was mostly boring. Like it was fine, I guess, but I just didn't care. I think that this had a lot of like things it wanted to say, like social commentary and stuff. There was a lot of like commentary on wealth and how society deals with people who have money versus who don't, and just things that go with that. And like in theory, they're interesting conversations, and like I agree with what the conversations were saying, but that for sure was not enough to keep me interested in the actual story because like that was just really dumb and boring for me. So those are my thoughts on Tripping Arcadia. 2 books, both 2 stars. Hopefully the next one goes better. I forgot to grab the book, but I will be starting 7 Visitations of Sydney Burgess next. And this, not to put pressure on this one, but this is the one I'm most anticipating. It is one that I heard about and I bought a copy of because I thought it sounded like something I would like a while ago. So I'm really looking forward to that, but I'm just like scared. So I will talk to you tomorrow once I am a third in. I am 118 pages into the 7 Visitations of Sydney Burgess. Do you want to see my really cool bookmark? It is a wrapper for chopsticks. Anyway, I am liking this one. I was super invested at the beginning. It opens up with this woman, Sydney Burgess, and she walks into her house and there's a masked intruder in there. He knocks her out, and the next thing she knows, she wakes up in the hospital and her hands are all cut up, and then they are like, you killed this guy, and it was very violent. Like I think she stabbed him 28 times or something like that. Honestly, I should have read like 15 more pages because then I would be at the 4th visitation. I'm kind of confused about what the visitations are. There hasn't been a clear like reasoning for why it's switching. We are getting some of her backstory, which has to do with her and her son and her ex, who is the son's father. The guy she's with now is not a random guy, but like It's just a different person. So we're learning some stuff about that. And I am liking this. I'm not as invested as I want to be, but I think this could easily end up being 4 stars. I think maybe depending on how it goes, it could also be 3 or 5 stars. Honestly, any of those 3 options are better than the last 2 books I read. So I'm happy that this is more successful than the other 2 so far, especially because I owned a physical copy of this already. So I'm just listening to this and doing some stuff on my computer and listening to the audiobook of this primarily because that's who I am as a person. From watching Riley's videos and just like talking to her, she is a very character driven reader, and I can tell that from this book and the one that I think she liked more out of the other 2. So it's just interesting to be reading books specifically because of somebody and kind of thinking about how things line up with your own reading tastes. Riley is 100% more of a character focused reader than I am. If I love the plot, I don't have to love the characters, but then there are a bunch of books that we both love. So we clearly have some overlap, like The Last Housewife, Project Hail Mary. Now is not the time to ask me other books that exist, but there are multiple ones, and then I feel like every once in a while it is so different, and I think that those ones are character focused ones where I just like for some reason didn't like the characters like she did. So I'm gonna get back to reading. It's just interesting to think about all of that, but I am liking this and I'm so curious to see where this goes because I'm confused, and I know that's the point, and I have a lot of questions. Maybe I'll get answers, but also like I'm fine if we don't. So I'm very glad that this one is going better than the other 2. I will talk to you soon. I am now 235-ish pages into the 7 Visitations of Sydney Burgess, and I really am generally not a character focused reader. That's what this is. There are instances where a character driven book works for me. Even ones that are like this where it is like exclusively in someone's mind and it's just like them processing things instead of them doing things. The biggest one I can think of is Death in Her Hands by Otessa Moshfegh. Like, I love that one. So I'm not sure why this isn't working for me, but it's just like not. Okay, well, that's not true. It is feeling like 3 stars. There are times that I'm very interested, and then a lot of times where I'm not. I am liking it more than the other 2 that I've read, but I don't know. I feel like at this point, the most this can get is 3.5 stars for me. So I don't love that. I don't know. I don't have anything else to say. I'll talk to you again when I'm done, obviously, with my final thoughts and maybe more on why this kind of book doesn't always work for me. But also, this is kind of similar to Come Closer by Sarah Grant, and I give that 4 stars. So maybe the issue is the length. I don't know. I'll think about it. I'm going to finish this book, and I will talk to you later tonight. So here's the thing. I think I'm going to give this book 2 stars. This is one that is just like for my personal reading tastes was not it. I'm uncomfortable. I was not expecting to dislike everything that Riley gave me. I'm stressed. Okay, this just was not for me. It was very stream of consciousness, like in this character's head the whole time, and I didn't like the character's head. That sounds weird. I didn't like being in this character's head. I didn't really have any feelings towards this character. It is very ambiguous, which usually doesn't bother me, but that combined with the way it was written, like it is not linear at all, which like is not usually something that bothers me. I didn't really like it. There were certain times that I was like hooked, especially at the beginning. I think the beginning was super interesting, and then it just like kept slowly fizzling out, and the end was fine, but like it took a long time to get there. This one reminds me of Come Closer by Sarah Grant, which I liked. I gave that one 4 stars, but that's a novella, so it worked a lot better for me. It also kind of gives me Death in Her Hands vibes, which I actually loved because it's the same like stream of consciousness, like in the character's brain situation. It also kind of reminds me of Mother Thing by Ainsley Hogarth or something like that, which I DNF'd. much. I was just bored, but it kind of like gives me those vibes. I don't know, maybe that is a good comparison. If you liked that book, you should try this one, or vice versa. But maybe not, because I didn't finish that book. So I don't know. Okay. So 2 stars. The good thing is I did enjoy the book that we did the buddy read for. So let me look on Goodreads to see the official ratings from Riley. I do know she liked 7 Visitations of Sydney Burgess because I watched her video where she talked about that, and that one looks like 4 stars. After I finished the first 2 books, I actually watched Kayla's video, and she talked about Riley liking the book of the Unnamed Midwife, and in that it was like a 5-star thing. So I know Riley gave the book of the Unnamed Midwife 5 stars, which means that she did not like, what's that book called? Tripping Arcadia. Okay, and that looks like a DNF? Okay. Oh, also Riley gave Hellbent 5 stars. I think my final rating is like a 3.5. So this has been interesting. I don't know what Riley rated the books that I gave her. I will be watching her video to find out. But while I'm here, I'm just gonna scroll through her Goodreads, like the red books, and just, I guess, kind of talk about things that we both liked and maybe didn't, and maybe why the ones that I was given for this didn't work. So she gave What Moves the Dead 4 stars. I gave it 5 stars. That one is more character focused, but that one is a novella, so I think that's why it worked for me. Riley likes the Murderbot series more than I do, and that's very character focused. She explained something in one of her videos recently about 2 different kinds of like character plot things, and it made sense at the time, but I don't remember it. So I feel like maybe that thing has something to do with this. Okay, she gave Come Closer 5 stars. I gave it 4 stars. One that's opposite is From Below by Darcy Coates. She gave it 1 star, and I gave it 4, so that one's pretty opposite. I think that one is maybe the case because none of the characters were very likable, and that doesn't bother me. Like, I don't need to connect to characters to love a book all the time. My best friend's Exorcism, I know she loves, and that one is just like okay for me. We both gave This Thing Between Us by Gus Moreno 5 stars. Maybe I gave it 4 stars. But we both like that. Once again, that was kind of shorter, even though that was kind of character focused. I don't know if all of them, but I know she loves the Wayward Children series by Sean McGuire, which I also love. The newest one is one of my favorite books that I've read this year. Another one that she liked that I did not, Woman Eating, I DNF'd that. Once again, another like very internal monologue type of thing. Okay, let's look at some books that we actually both like. I think I mentioned before Project Hail Mary and The Last Housewife. Those are 2 of my all-time favorite books, and I think those ones have a lot more plot. Project Hail Mary specifically, like the characters, I love that book because of it. Both liked The Last House on Needless Street. Both liked Confessions. Both liked Dead Silence. In My Dreams I Hold a Knife. They Never Learn. Near the Bone. Elapse Away. Oh, The Hollow Places. Okay, I'm done scrolling. So I think really the big difference is that Riley likes a lot more like internal monologue, like character driven books than I do. There are some that I really love, but it is way more hit or miss for me. I think that ones that the plot is a lot more of a focus in the book tend to work well for me, and those are the ones we line up on more, but that is not always true. So it's just interesting to think about this. I watch Riley's channel a lot and I get recommendations from her, so after doing this I kind of have an idea more of what recommendations I should take from her. Obviously not that her videos are recommending me books specifically, but now I have more of an idea of how our tastes line up, so I can use that when I am finding books through Riley. Riley's video is linked in the description, so make sure you check out her version of this. Thank you so much to Riley for agreeing to do this with me. Even though I didn't really like any of these, I did have a lot of fun just like thinking about our reading taste, and I always think it's really fun to do booktube collab videos. I will be continuing to do this series in the future with other booktube friends, so be on the lookout for that. If you're looking to find me in other places on the internet, everything is linked in the description, including my Storygraph, my Bookstagram, and my Patreon. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, and I hope to see you in my next one. Bye!